Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, my bet is that a lot of you guys are going to click on this video and be like, I told you so, I told you so. And I bet YouTubers like Speedwing here and Fire Emblem are going to feel very validated by this video. But if there's one thing that I have learned ever since I got married, it is that it is important to admit when you were wrong. And this is that video. I will admit I was wrong. At least about certain parts of this game. I am of course talking about Fire Emblem Engage, as you surely know by clicking on the video and seeing the title. Now I would like to say that I am not wrong on everything that I have said about this game. My main criticisms of it still stands to this day. I still think that it is probably the worst written Fire Emblem game, at least like in the top 3. And I still think a lot of the character design in this game is atrocious. But I will say that over the past week, I have enjoyed this game in a way that I did not think possible. And I would like to share that with you, because I think there are a lot of you guys that are kind of in my corner when it comes to Engage, where you felt kind of disappointed by it, and you didn't really like it that much. And maybe, after watching this video, you'll give it another shot. But first, let me explain to you just how I am enjoying it differently. Because if you didn't watch my streams this week, you would have no idea about this. If you're someone who just watches my videos, you don't watch my live streams, this does require some explanation. So after releasing 2 videos on my channel, one where I talked about everything Engage did right, and one where I talked about what it did wrong, I decided to start my long-awaited Iron Man run, which is something that I've been promising to my audience for a while. And it is a Iron Man run without any DLC, or at least without paid DLC. I think I tainted a little bit with some silver ore, but probably shouldn't have done that, but at least I'm trying to avoid the DLC where I can. And I decided to do something very different this time around, because I could not be bothered to beat Lunatic on my Switch to unlock random growths. I'm not a big fan of fixed growths, I want a random growths. So instead of using my Switch with my internal capture card, which I usually do for these streams, I decided to use the, let's call it the Nintendo TV. I think most of you guys will know what I mean when I say the Nintendo TV. I really do not wish to go more into detail than that, because as you know, Nintendo sometimes sends their ninjas to you when you talk about these things. So it's the Nintendo TV, owned by Nintendo Incorporated. I'm just playing on it, okay? And on the Nintendo TV, you have the ability to install these mods, which change the game drastically. If you want, there are many available. But mostly, what these mods can do is they can really improve your quality of life. I have a mod installed on my Nintendo TV that lets me skip the Somniel. Or, not quite. I still get to go to the Somniel, but I get to collect all the resources with the click of a button. And I can access the entire Somniel through the main menu. So I don't have to run around, I can just do everything. It kind of turns it into the Tellius-based preparations, which are some of my favorite in the game. And I have to tell you, the amount of enjoyment I got out of Engage simply from using this one mod, I cannot even explain it. Suddenly, the game went from something that I was very torn on and kind of disliked into a game that I am enjoying every bit as much as I would enjoy a game, say, like Fates. And that's not something I ever thought I would say about Engage. So the reason I'm making this video is to tell you guys that there are other ways to play Engage that are so much more enjoyable than what most of you may be used to. Because this mod doesn't just speed up the gameplay, it also just completely removes any tedium that you might get. I think one of my biggest problems when I play on the Switch is that you have the ability to skip with a button, you have the ability to skip cutscenes, but there is this like 5 to 10 second loading time despite this. And if you have to skip your way through like 3 or 4 scenes, then it can easily take a minute for you to get into the map. So it doesn't really feel like you're speeding through it at all. It really feels tedious. Not so when you play on the Nintendo TV. When you play on the Nintendo TV, everything happens instantly, because it is much more optimized than the Switch. Not only is it more optimized and faster, but you get to enjoy Engage in glorious 60 FPS. And let me tell you, when you're used to the Switch's 30 FPS, for years on end, and you finally get to play this game in 60 FPS, it is a completely different story. To anyone who says that graphics don't matter in Fire Emblem, they clearly don't know what they're talking about. They actually matter quite a bit. The difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS is considerable, and Engage's animations are breathtaking, and you don't really get a feel for how breathtaking they are when you play on the original console. You just don't, because it's not optimized for it, because this thing is really bad. It's really bad. Now, the footage you see behind me, keep in mind, this is recorded footage of recorded footage, so obviously it's not going to look as crisp as it does when I'm live, but to anyone watching this video, I encourage you to go look at some of my live streams or tune into my next one and just see how crisp that quality is when I play, because oh my goodness, the characters, it's like they're floating on silk, if that's even a thing you can say. And it really is magical. It is magical to play Engage this way because it just is so visually spectacular. The animations are so gorgeous. But furthermore, it is so nice to play a game that doesn't waste my time. I know I don't need to walk around the Somniel collecting resources, but the ability to collect them all with the click of a button means that I can focus on what I actually enjoy about Fire Emblem, which is the gameplay. And I know I'm going to get comments from people saying, oh, but you don't need to collect every resource in the Somniel. No, but I want to. I'm a bit of a completionist sometimes. I like to get everything that I can possibly get out of the game. And the fact that I can just click a button and get everything, it makes it feel like the game stops wasting my time. And it makes me wish that every Fire Emblem game had this option unlocked at base, like just a fast mode. You know, a fast mode that just goes skip, 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 get you to the gameplay, and start playing. And not only that, this mod also skips dialogue, cutscenes, everything. It just takes you straight to the map. And I just love it so much. I cannot express just how much I love it. It has completely changed the way that I feel about Engage. And as I said, you know, some of my original criticisms of Engage, they still stand. I still think that the writing is bad and the character design is not great. But if removing these things, if removing the dialogue and improving the gameplay quality, if those little things have made me enjoy Engage this much, then maybe the game isn't so bad after all. I always praised Engage for its gameplay, but only this week did I really start to appreciate just how well it is balanced, especially around Lunatic. Now, if you don't use paid DLC, which breaks the game into little pieces, it is not designed around these power spikes. If you play the game on Maddening as is intended, like Speedwings told me to, you truly appreciate just how well this game is designed. There are no ambush spawns. There are no enemies with... like, the only complaint I have is that enemies in the early game, they have like 1 or 2% crit against most of your units, which I really wish was not the case, but it's not like something that ruins my enjoyment of the game. But one of the things that I like about games like Fate's Conquest is that the enemies are placed with the utmost care. There are some Fire Emblem games that just place enemy randomly on the map, like Birthright, for example. And they don't put much thought into their map design at all. They put a bunch of enemies there, and you just have to kind of steamroll through them. Awakening is a prime example of this. Awakening, I feel like they didn't even think much about where to place the enemies. They were just like, yeah, just go grind if you want to beat them, you know? Make a death ball and just steamroll your way through the chapters. Whereas Engage, every single enemy is placed with precision and care. And you can really feel that when you play the game, that this is something that they didn't just randomly place enemies on the map. Their stats are finely tuned to what you're supposed to be able to handle. There are puzzles with each map that you got to figure out. And of course, there's some luck involved, and sometimes you can die to a low percentage crit. I mean, that's Fire Emblem for you. But for the most part, this game is very, very finely tuned. And once I kind of got over the hurdle of not enjoying the way the characters looks, or at least most of them, and once I didn't have to deal with the story anymore, I gained a new appreciation for just how good this game is and how fun it is to play. This week, I've streamed it 3 times, and I can't wait for my 4th. And I'm thinking about builds that I want to do with the Emblem rings. I'm thinking about how to tackle various chapters on Maddening mode. Eddie just died behind me. I gave her a longbow. That was my fault. I shouldn't have put a longbow on her. Whenever you get punished in this game, it's usually because you made a bad decision, not because the game is poorly designed. And there are not many Fire Emblem games that can actually claim this, because I played every single Fire Emblem game in the series on the hardest difficulty. I've Iron Man most of them, and I can say absolutely with 100% confidence that there are some games that are just poorly designed, and there are some maps that will just kill you, even if you play well, because they're just terribly designed. This game is not one of them. This game, so much love and care was put into the map design and the enemy placement of this game, and that is something that I think should not be understated. And yeah, I feel so weird about this because I've spent the better part of a year really resenting this game for what it is, not enjoying it and being kind of stubborn about it. Like, ugh, I really hate this game and what it did to the franchise, and you know, I can't wait for the next Fire Emblem game to come out so we can leave this game behind us. And then after just playing it for a week with some mods on the Nintendo TV and experiencing what this game truly is at its core, I suddenly started to really enjoy it. And I think that's kind of insane. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be leaving this type of comments. They're going to say, well, someone had to come in and mod the game for it to be good. That's not really saying much about Engage, is it? Like, it was bad at launch, and then someone came in and fan modded it, and now you're enjoying it. Doesn't that just mean you enjoyed the mod and not the game? Well, I don't know how many, like, 30-plus-year-old viewers I have. Probably a fair bit, I imagine. I think most of you are between the ages of 20 and 30, going by my YouTube analytics. I think most of us remember games from our childhood that were really bad at launch, but then later got modded to be amazing. I know for a fact that Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which are two games from my childhood that I played a lot, were not very good at base, but they had amazing mod support. Like, I remember going and downloading a bunch of mods that just turned the game absolutely amazing. I don't think there's anything wrong with a game that you gotta mod a little to turn good. I know my friend Ponsagadov loves Stalker 1, and that game is apparently quite a mess without mods, but if you install mods, it becomes very enjoyable, and I'm sure the same is going to be true for Stalker 2 once they've developed some mods for it. So, I don't think necessarily there's anything wrong with enjoying a game because of its mods. If anything, I mean, the developers can't get everything right on the first try, right? And the community will come in and fan mod it, and that can turn a mediocre game into something absolutely amazing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So the fact that I needed this mod to enjoy the game, I don't think that necessarily means that the game is garbage. It just means the game had some flaws. And to be fair, a lot of the things that I dislike about this game, you know, how it wastes your time and the loading screens and stuff like that, that's due to listing. That's due to this thing being a bad console. You know, like, the fact that it can't even run properly at 60 FPS, it's very weird what the green screen is doing to my Joy-Con. The fact that it can't even run it optimally at 60 FPS is atrocious. And I sure hope that the Switch 2, whenever it comes out, is going to be better than this piece of garbage, because this is a bad console. That does not mean this is a bad game. So, the reason I'm making this rambly video here is, if you have the same opinion of me as Engage, you were disappointed with it, maybe you tried it at launch and you decided, nah, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to play this game. I'm disappointed by this game. Try giving it another shot. Now, again, I wish I could do a tutorial on how to set up the Nintendo TV, but I just can't. You're gonna have to figure it out. Google is your friend. I mean, I can't risk the Nintendo ninjas knocking on my door. There were lawsuits about this, and I'm not going to get involved in that. But all I can say is, it's not hard. There are plenty of people willing to help you out, if you know where to look. So, if you are like me, and you felt very disappointed by Engage, and you would like to experience it in a different light as I have, try the Nintendo TV, try to find the mod that cuts away tedium and improves, you know, quality of life, and maybe even some other mods as well. There's some great mods out there. And try this game again from a different perspective, and I think you will find that you will enjoy this game a hell of a lot more than you did on your first playthrough. I am not joking when I say that I am looking forward to these Iron Man streams as much as I did with games like Conquest. Like, I am excited to play this game again, and that is not a feeling I thought I would have more than 1 year after this game launched. Absolutely crazy. I still wish that the design of the characters were better. I still wish the writing was good. I really do. But you know what? We can't always get what we want. Fates had garbage writing as well. I mean, do you guys remember how much Fates was ridiculed when it came out? It was so bad. Corrin was so much cringe. I think what saved Fates partly was the fact that it was not voiced. So you could you didn't have to hear the character say these lines. But you know what you can do in Engaged? You can turn on Japanese voices like I do, and they're a hell of a lot better than the English ones. You don't have to listen to all these cringe lines, you know? And the Japanese voices are really a lot better in many circumstances, so you can do that. And just overall, the point I'm making with this video is give this game another chance. Don't be stubborn like I was for over a year. There are so many great mods available for this game, if you just use the Nintendo TV, that greatly improve the quality of life. Speedwings, Axum, you were right, I was wrong. You were right, I was wrong. This game is actually very, very damn good at its core. It is held back by things that people fixate on, and understandably so. I think design is an important aspect of Fire Emblem. I don't want to underplay that. I still think this game doesn't look as good as it could have looked. But once you learn not to fixate on those things, I think you will find that underneath it is an extremely well-designed and fun Fire Emblem game, which offers a hell of a lot of replayability and a lot of cool aspects. Avoid the paid DLC, though. The paid DLC completely shatters it into pieces, and I think ruins a lot of the enjoyment that this game has. So that's what I wanted to say, guys. A bit of a rambly video, but I hope you guys can appreciate it. I don't know when I'm going to be releasing this, but by the time it comes out, I'm going to be up at the cabin with my wife, enjoying the snow. Maybe I'll stream on Sunday, I haven't quite decided, but definitely tune in and check out my Iron Man streams because they are quite enjoyable, and I've got some new mods that change just the appearance of certain characters, which I think is a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, my name is Mangs. Thank you so much for listening to me rant, and give Engage another shot. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.